I'm sometimes labeled an environmentalist, an activist, but for me, I don't see myself that way. I just see myself as a Gwich'in woman who believes in keeping some of our pristine wildernesses intact. And a couple years ago, there was a couple of my cousins were having a debate on conservation versus oil and gas development. And as they were debating, it went on for a bit, you know, the importance of protecting the land and then also the importance of having a strong economic development base. And at the end of the debate, one of my cousins says to the other cousin, he says, okay, yes, okay, I see the importance of it. But he said, you'll never ever be able to buy a beer with a flower. And I thought, okay, there's some truth to that. But for me, I look at the bigger picture, and it's when you look at our culture, and you look at our land, it's priceless. You can't put, for me, I don't think you could put money on it. And the reason is it's so much of who we are as Indigenous people, and it's a part of our life. And it becomes a part of our life, the land, right from the time we are born. We start a relationship with the land at a young age. And here's a photo of my daughter when she was about 2.5 years old, and she was already interacting with my parents and helping out with fishing and stuff like that. And she's just washing some fish parts there that they're going to cook to the fire to eat. And when I was a young girl, I was rather shy. I would never see myself being able to do any public speaking. And like my mother, she's a quiet person, but I think like any Gwich'in woman, when you find an issue or something that you're very passionate about, it's like, look out, you're gonna hear about it. And I learned a lot from my mom in that sense, is she taught me by demonstration throughout my whole life, seeing her love her culture and always telling us the importance of our language and stuff like that. And she taught me, if you feel strong about something and you don't think something's right, then speak up. And in our Gwich'in language, we call white fish Gwich'in, Gwich'in. It's one of our main food sources. And when I was a little kid, I don't know about you guys, but I found that some foods I didn't like when I was a kid are now one of my favorites, and that being whitefish. Little did I know when I was a kid that one day it would not only be my favorite food, but that I would spend much time and effort trying to work for conservation of fish habitat. This here is a photo of the Peel River, and it's taken not too far from Aklavik. And you just need to look at it to grasp the beauty of the natural environment and the beauty and the so much value that it offers to us, and that's why it's important. Mentoring. Growing up, we all have mentors in our life, different role models, and I was fortunate. I had my parents were most influential, my grandparents, my godfather was very instrumental, a big influence on some of the work that I do. And here in the photo, this was taken back in my teen years. There's my dad and my uncle and I hunting in the Yukon, and it's just a part of our life as Gwich'in, and here we are, you know, just happy that we got some caribou, and I'm helping them skin and butcher the caribou and just learning. That's just our life. And then the other photo here is a picture of me and a friend of mine. His name is Lenny Combe. He was world-known activist and photographer. And unfortunately, Lenny passed away in the fall of 2014. But in his lifetime, he had such a big impact on environmental issues. And I had the privilege of knowing Lenny and working with Lenny. And one of the issues that he dedicated so much of his time to was the protection of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and the coastal plain, which is the birthing ground of the porcupine caribou herd. And he dedicated so much time to that. And a lot of Gwich'in traveled with him. And I was one of those people, and we traveled all over the lower 48 states, making presentations to people about the refuge and why it's important to protect, what it meant to the Gwich'in, and so forth. And one thing that Lenny taught me and taught many people that he worked with was the power of one person. And I remember walking into sometimes auditoriums and there's 200 to 300 people sitting there waiting for us to speak. And Lenny had this awesome slideshow prepared with pictures and audio. And then my portion of the talk was to share the Gwich'in perspective and why it was important. And sometimes we'd go into a boardroom and there's only 2 people. And I remember Lenny telling me when that happened, he said, Bobbijo, it does not matter if there's 2 people or 300 people. What matters is that you share what you came here to share, and that will, you share, and that person will tell another person, and that person will tell another person, and that's just the power of grassroots and networking. And I learned a lot from him. And why is the caribou so important? Because Gwich'in are caribou people. In our language, we call caribou vatsai. And vatsai is not just a main food source, but it has been a traditional source of clothing for our people, a source of tool making. And the caribou is the foundation of the Gwich'in culture. And we have, it is our source of spiritual balance, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional balance that it gives us as a people. And the reason we care about it so much is if the caribou were to be devastated, well, it will devastate our culture in a sense that we would just assimilate and become more assimilated into Western culture than we already are. So that's where I'm coming from with my passion for the area. Grandparents. It is common in indigenous cultures, like the Gwich'in. Grandparents play a special role in our lives growing up. They help take responsibility of raising you and teaching you values. In this photo here is my husband and my late grandmother, Ellen. And my grandma passed away in 2010 at the age of 98. But to this day, she still continues to be my guide based on the traditional teachings and values that she instilled in me. She was an elder who took her role very seriously. She really loved the Gwich'in people. She was a spiritual person. She taught me what faith was and how to pray and how to just try to be the best person you can be. But more importantly, I think she taught me that our culture makes us who we are and that we need to protect it. We need to stand up for it. And she always she inspired me like she did many others, and she always encouraged us to be proud of who we are and to speak up for ourselves. And this is another shot of the Peel River, and this is around Fort McPherson. And it's an area that we really need to work together to protect. Back when the government decided that they were going to overturn our recommendations as a people, we decided that we were going to do a protest walk. And a leader in Nunavik at the time, I contacted him and I said, you know, I don't see much happening at our local level. Is there something going to happen? Are we going to do a walk? And he told me, he said, Bobbijo, he said, you have the skills and capabilities. He said, why don't you organize it? I believe in you. You don't have to wait for a leader to do it. So I did. And my husband and I got stuff together and we just, put up posters and all that stuff. And it was the people, though, who made it successful. People came together, and for that day, we felt very powerful, and we got our voices out there, and we stood up for ourselves, and that the government and all the people were like, oh, okay, so this issue is important to people in Aklavik too. And we do it because we're stewards of the land, and we all have a responsibility, and we need to stand up for our future generations. I want to ensure that my daughter's generation has clean air, clean water, and that they're able to eat the fish and the caribou like we have done. And how you do that? You take action. You need to take action. We can talk and complain, but nothing's going to change unless we take action. And it's all about human health and human rights. We are, it's not just about being Indigenous anymore. We all have a common ground of the right to clean air and clean water, no matter what culture background we have. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from my talk today, is that you can make a difference, whether it is environmental stuff that I have a passion about, or whether it's something in your own life. Do you want to make a change in your career? Do you want to make a change in your home environment? Whatever it is, ask yourself, what's that passion in here? And realize that you have a voice. You can make a difference. Be a part of that change, but it all starts with you, and you hold the power within you, so take action today. It's up to you. Power in the people. Masicho.